There shall never be another dawn.
All right, welcome to this edition of Cyber Chat. I'll be your host today, Dave from the THETA Newscast. It's June 28th, and man, it's hot. Today, I want to talk about a controversial topic for those of us in the THETA community, and that is whether or not Infowars should get on the platform. The reason I bring this up is because I was listening to one of the Infowars broadcasts this weekend with Max Kaiser, who's, the Bitcoin Maxi's Maxi. And it's a rather famous blunder that Alex Jones made years ago. He admits it. 10 years ago, Max tried to get him into Bitcoin, and he just didn't want to fiddle with it. Didn't want to learn about it. And he paid the price, which is, I think, in the hundreds of millions of dollars in lost opportunity. And as successful as Alex has been, imagine how much more successful he might be if he had access to that kind of capital. I mean, maybe he would be dead sooner than later if he had that kind of access to capital, like McAfee. But the reason I bring this up is because I was listening to this interview and I was reminded of a conversation I had with some of the folks at Infowars last year. And Alex missed the Bitcoin boat in many ways. Some would argue it's still early, but it's not too early for the THETA Network, certainly. And I believe in Infowars. I think it's a great platform, regardless of whatever warts Alex Jones may have, including his Trump support and all of that. I still think he's a net positive for the world. That's just my perspective. Obviously, I have some folks on our show that differ with that opinion, and that's okay. I think it's the most important debate to be having in media today, and that is whether Alex Jones is a good guy or a bad guy. And I encourage that debate, certainly on ztitic.news. But I think whether you like him or not, you have to respect the freedom of speech that we all have. And he is the prototype for censorship online. So if you care about your own free speech, you have to care about Alex Jones's, whether you think he's a shill or not. And that's just my perspective. But we're a supporter of Infowars at ztitic.news principally because I do think, like I said, overall, he's been a net positive. And I just hate to see, if I think he's successful, right? I hate to see him miss the boat again, like he did with Bitcoin. And on this show last Saturday, they were talking about Bitcoin and its future. And of course, Max Kaiser thinks it's the bee's knees as far as crypto goes, and every other altcoin is a scam. And as smart as Max Kaiser is, I think he's missing, he's throwing the baby out with the bathwater in his Bitcoin, maximalism, essentially. And so, I was reminded, I had reached out to these to Infowars last year and made the case for them to integrate the THETA Network into their site. Now, THETA TV is different than the THETA Network. THETA TV runs on the THETA backbone, and THETA TV is probably never going to have Infowars on their platform, and nor should we really care too much about that. What's more important to me is Infowars continuing to spread their message without having to deal with censorship. And right now, Infowars relies on some of the big content delivery networks, I think Amazon among them, to stream their product across the world. And Right now, they can still do that independently because they have the financing capacity to pay Amazon. But as we saw with post January 6th, these platforms are not necessarily going to allow that going forward if they disagree with what Alex Jones has to say. So Alex talks a lot about alternative systems and how we should build them and invest in them so that we can continue to do this good work, going into the future. And so that's why I think THETA Network is tailor-made for a platform like Infowars. Number one, it can't be censored. It's a decentralized peer-to-peer network. And so even though those already exist, this one's a little different because it integrates a blockchain cryptocurrency, which can be used within the ecosystem to not only incentivize people to watch your show and share their bandwidth at the same time, but then they can spend that back into, say, the Infowars store. And so this was my pitch essentially to Infowars. And, THETA they're not going to go out of their way to get Infowars on the network because they have bigger, better partners to pursue and to promote. Infowars isn't a logo that they want to put on their project, despite the fact that they have millions and millions of viewers. It's just not politically palatable to THETA. But Infowars should want to sort of decouple themselves from the centralized CDN networks. They should want to save money on their current infrastructure costs, and they should want to increase engagement and conversion in the shopping cart for their users, not out of selfishness, but out of self-preservation. And I also noticed on the Infowars store or Infowars site that they have a way to send cryptocurrency to them to support what Infowars is doing. And at a minimum, Infowars should add THETA Network to this list of cryptocurrencies that they will accept. That's the simplest thing they could do. But if they, say, collected enough THETA to begin staking THETA, not only would they have a voting influence on the future of the infrastructure, but they would be able to earn T-Fuel, which they can recycle into their own ecosystem by paying their users to offset their CDN costs, which then gets spent back into the Infowars store as a Patriot point to buy Infowars Life products. And that's the whole THETA Network pitch. And I would love an opportunity to come on Infowars and talk to Alex and give him this pitch and talk him through the technology, because he talks a big game about alternatives, and but yet they did not act when I reached out to them last year. And having been a part of the THETA Network community, I know there's a lot of like-minded people within that community. It's not just gamers, but I'm thinking about my Thigga Robert Hartley. Shout out to you, Big Dog 1111. Those guys are very much like-minded in the InfoWarrior, circles. I know Robert Hartley said that Alex Jones woke him up, in some of his videos. So, let's get the call out to Alex. THETA's not going to do it. We can't call on THETA to do this. We shouldn't even expect them to. They're after the Googles and the Samsungs, and they're not going to threaten their position by associating with someone like Infowars. But Infowars can build on top of this platform, and they should. And if you're a THETA stakeholder, you should want them to do that as well. Because we're about adoption. We're about mass adoption of this technology. And I think at least a certain percentage of us are anti-censorship and recognize the THETA Network's potential to provide a censorless alternative. So I'm going to send this email, which I am editing right here on the live stream, which is a follow-on to an email thread originally started last year with the director of IT at Infowars about this very subject. And what I explain is how exactly what I just described, but I also made them aware. When I brought this to their attention in May 15th, 2020, I recommended that they take this course of action. T-Fuel was trading at 0.00149 cents. And Theta was trading around 17 cents per token. And based on the trading price at the time this was written today, T-Fuel is up almost 28,000%. And Theta tokens up almost 4,000% over that time frame. So if Alex Jones had purchased 100,000 T-Fuel at this time, he would have spent $149 and it would be worth almost $42,000 today. If he had done the same thing for Theta, he would have spent 17 grand up front, but he would have $680,000 in digital asset US dollar price, value. But perhaps more importantly, he would have 100,000 Theta tokens he could stake to be earning approximately 38,000 T-Fuel tokens per year for owning and holding that asset and staking it onto a Guardian node. These T-Fuel could then be recycled back into his own ecosystem to viewers, and those viewers could then spend them as like discounts on InfowarsLife.com products. Never mind the fact that Infowars could potentially sell these things for US dollar denominated assets, which would ostensibly help them, with their operations. But in the THETA.news model, the T-Fuel doesn't even get converted to dollars. It gets recycled back into sending the content out to the viewers. And so this is the model I think they should pursue. If you're a supporter of THETA Network, if you're a supporter of Infowars.com, send a message to Infowars and let them know to take notice of ThetaZilla. Let them know THETA.news is onto something here. And it's not about, I told you so, look how much the price has gone up. It's about, hey, it's not too late. We're still very early in this technology and in the ecosystem. There's only 100,000 approximately edge nodes active on any given day. That is nothing compared to what it could be if it gets installed. Edge nodes get installed on your smart TV, on your smartphone. If they come pre-installed on desktop computers, if Netflix and Amazon start using this system, not only will the digital assets price rise, but it will become a standard to be paid to watch content, whether it's Infowars or whether it's Disney Plus. So if you like this video, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, visit us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. And of course, don't forget our home site, THETA.news. We're going to be shooting a new episode this Thursday. It'll be our 24th episode. I'll be going live with Xavier Diamant and perhaps a special guest. Check us back out here on YouTube and THETA.tv as well. Thanks for tuning in, and God bless.